Welcome to the EpicMan Podcast, the show about the wildest news in entertainment and culture. I'm Josiah, and with me today I have just one of my friends and co-hosts, Mike. The other, Ben, is sick with, you know what, the COVID. He has the COVID. So how are you doing today, Mike?
I don't have the COVID, so I think I'm doing pretty good.
There you go. You're doing better than Ben already, which isn't that hard to do. I mean, it's not that hard than Ben, so
he's not here.
Yeah.
And I am. That tells you that I'm doing a lot better than he is.
Exactly.
He abandoned you all. Let's remember this.
Yeah.
For next time, Ben abandoned everyone.
Exactly. Well, you know, Ben is a fragile flower.
Yeah.
A tender tulip, a dainty daisy. So, you know, it is what it is. A
weak water lily. He just listen. Rest in peace to my boy Ben.
That's right. Rip Ben.
He's gone. Rip.
If he isn't here, if he isn't back by next week, though, we might have to go intervene. So yeah,
like resurrect him.
Yeah,
or something.
We'll do something.
Yeah,
kick his dead body and be like, hey, get back up. We got a podcast to do.
Get the frick up. We got stuff to do, bro. We don't got time to die.
Ain't nobody got time for that.
Yeah, ain't nobody got time to die today, man.
Well, yeah, so hopefully Ben will recover quickly and soon, and until then we wish him all the best in his recovery. So
I don't.
So we have a few things to talk about this week. It was a little bit of a quieter week for news and stuff.
Yeah.
But we got a few things to talk about. So I guess, you know, kind of the biggest news that happened this week, the most controversial news that happened this week was some news about PlayStation.
Do tell.
Yeah. So it isn't as bad as it seems. Let me just start off with that, okay?
That's the best way to tell bad news. I promise this isn't bad, but it's not great.
See, I'm trying to downplay this because right now we have a PlayStation guy and an Xbox guy on the same podcast, and it's a little bit awkward for the PlayStation guy. Not gonna lie, it's a little bit awkward.
Looking a little sus right now.
But we have some news about the PS5. So let's go ahead and kind of read into this a little bit. So Sony is basically, what they are doing is they released an update just this week, and in the update there was this thing that would pop up that would basically say, hey, guess what, we're recording you, or something along those lines. And we're recording your party chat and audio and stuff, and so people started to kind of get freaked out by that a little bit, which I guess, you know, there's a good reason for that. And then they kind of like cleared it up a little bit about what it was all about, which is a good thing, even though I still am not totally sure if I trust them and what they're saying. But basically what they said was Sony later updated its announcement blog post about the new voice chat functionality, and explained that the notification is related to new features for the PS5. And today it went into more detail about how that works. According to the PlayStation blog post, while voice chats won't be monitored or listened to actively on the new system, there's an option to report harassment that includes up a voice chat clip of up to 40 seconds in length, trimmed from the most recent 5 minutes. So basically what this means is don't be in a voice chat party with a bunch of snowflakes, because they might report you to PlayStation if you say something that they don't like or something. So basically that's what that means. It is basically just a way for people that are in the party chat with you to basically send in clips of something that you said that's apparently harassment to PlayStation to basically report you if they feel like that they want to and stuff. And that kind of is a really stupid feature, in my opinion. But I don't know. What does the Xbox guy have to say about that?
I mean, I remember this thing not that long ago, this thing called a Connect. And everybody was like, they got a camera in your house and it's always listening. And all these PlayStation users were like, man, Xbox sucks. And they're trying to record your stuff. And they're trying to steal all of your info. They hiding in your house, crawling in your windows. Listen, I remember this. And revenge is so sweet. Because PlayStation's just like, not only do we not have a Connect, but we're also just listening to your voice chat. And based on some of the features, PlayStation 5 might just have a mic always on in the controller. And, it's just this crazy thing about like, we released this new feature. Isn't everybody happy? And then they're like, no, we're not happy. I don't want you recording me. And they're like, well, listen, it's only for bullying. It's only to protect people from harassment.
Yes,
I promise we wouldn't use this for anything else.
Nothing
and
else.
And we only record 40 seconds of a voice clip from the last 5 minutes. I'm certain that we couldn't go back and listen to an entire voice chat if we wanted to. I don't know. We're just Sony. We're obviously, I just think this. Anytime like a company does something like this, they're never motivated by altruism or like, well, we just want to protect people. No. It's usually, man, we can make a lot of money if we hear our people talking in the voice chat. We can listen to what they want. We can listen to what they think. All kinds of stuff. And I just think it sets a weird precedent because if your goal is to say we want to collect data for better user experience, which is a lie that a lot of companies say, then just say that. And say, basically, without saying it, we want to take your data and we want to collect it and do stuff with it. Or if you're like, well, we want to protect harassment and stuff like that. Well, I don't know. That sounds a lot more sketchy because now you're deciding what is or isn't harassment. Because I can tell you right now, like, there's been times where like people have reported me or I've reported people out of spite just because I wanted to. And I could just be like, oh, this guy was making a joke and I led that joke on and now I'm gonna report that guy and get him in trouble for harassment. I mean, it's the internet's like a wild west still when it comes to controlling voice and thoughts and people, and everybody's a hero or a villain on the internet, and I think that just sets a weird precedent.
I agree. I don't like it at all. I don't like any form of that type of crap of, recording what people are saying and, reporting people. I mean, it's just, it feels like it takes it to a whole new level now where, like, if you are in a party chat with some other people, most likely people that you have at least have some sort of connection with.
Yeah.
And, it feels almost like it's like a stab in the back if they suddenly are like, oh, well, I'm going to send in this voice clip of my friend who said such and such to PlayStation and then gets them screwed over and stuff. And I don't know, like I've been in a lot of different party chats on PlayStation, and I feel like there would be probably about 50% of people who would be getting banned if they got their stuff recorded and stuff.
Yeah. So, well, and who's to say that somebody on the other end that going, oh, well, we now have keywords that if you say this or say that you automatically get banned. Like, I mean, there's a lot of, it sets a weird precedent of like, who's going to police this? And then who's sitting there going, hey, we got sent a voice clip. We're going to listen to it and decide this is okay or this isn't okay. Like, who gets to decide that? Exactly. Like, who decides what is or isn't harassment as far as playing online and stuff? I mean, and it's also going to start an outcry, I think, too, of like when you do have people that are like teenagers and kids that say stupid things and now are all of a sudden getting banned and going to their parents and going, I got banned and I don't know why. And now we have, I mean, like, it just sets a weird slippery slope for a lot of things to happen and be complicated. And I mean, the one thing I can say with certainty is, man, I'm glad I'm not a PlayStation user.
Oh, man. Well, I'm getting to enjoy Ghost of Tsushima Legends right now, and you're not able to enjoy that right now. So,
Well, listen, just a little thing. We're going to segue because I forgot to mention this, but I'm going to mention it now. You know,
Okay.
apparently the new Elder Scrolls game,
Oh,
Elder Scrolls 6,
yes.
yeah, maybe the Xbox exclusive. Hot dang, we did it.
Well, you know what? That's
We did
fine
it.
because
Everybody,
I'm
we
going to
did
be the cool person who has both consoles.
Well,
And
listen, you got to jump ship eventually.
I'm not jumping ship. I'm just
gotta jump off that
broadening my
sinking ship.
horizons.
No, you got to jump off that
Meanwhile,
sinking ship, man.
Meanwhile, you will just be having your Xbox and you won't be able to, play the new Spider-Man games or the next Horizon Zero Dawn or anything like that. So
Oh, it's fine. I'll be so busy with Elder Scrolls 6, I won't have time. I couldn't possibly.
That game's going to be coming out in like, what, 20 years or something?
Listen, 20 years is a long enough time to wait for a great game.
If it's any good.
And for the next 16 re-releases of that same game.
Bethesda's kind of a little bit rocky right now. So
well, that's why Microsoft bought them, because they were like, hey, listen, you guys suck. We got I guess we'll see.
Yeah, I guess we will.
No, that's a pretty big exclusive though, man. Could you imagine?
That'd be insane. That'd be insane.
Well,
like I said, it doesn't affect me because I'll have both consoles. So
that's fair, but will Ben?
Maybe.
No.
He's talking about getting both consoles, but
Ben
we'll see.
We'll have a PlayStation and he'll sit there and cry about not having all the exclusives.
He probably doesn't even care about the next Elder Scrolls game that much, to be honest. So
yeah, he probably would just rather play Fall Guys by himself.
That's not what I meant to do at all. I totally screwed up this.
No, what'd you do, bro?
There we go. I messed up the video thing for a second there.
Okay.
But yeah, so I don't know, like I just think that anybody that's being in the business of, censoring what other people say, that I've never been a fan of that. I don't care who it is, and if you're just looking for that gotcha moment to ruin someone's good time or someone's job or whatever else in the form of because they said something that you don't like, I'm not a fan of that. So
yeah,
there's a lot of things that people say that I don't like, and I still would not want to have them censored by anybody. I still would not like to have them, lose their jobs or even their PlayStation accounts and stuff just because they say something that I don't like. I think that's not good. That, like you said, that's a very slippery slope, and I don't think that should be something that companies are in the business of. But I do agree that it probably is more so for a way for them to kind of like cater certain products to the player and stuff. I mean, I don't know if you've ever had this happen, but there are times where I will literally just be like talking about a certain product that I'm looking into or something, and next time I log on Facebook, there's an advertisement for it.
Oh yeah,
it's like, that's a little weird.
That's a little sus. Yeah. All of a sudden you're playing your PlayStation, you go, man, I wonder if the new Elder Scrolls game is on there, and then you go to look and they're offering you the newest rendition of Skyrim because it's only on Xbox and you can't play it. But no, exactly. I mean it's just the far-reaching implications of it can be, if you give a company or corporation like unimpeded access to like your voice, like what are the chances that it's not going to start trying to make money off of it or profit off of it?
Yeah, and there's a lot of people that are like a lot of journalists and people in mainstream media and stuff who, after Sony cleared this up and were like, oh, don't worry, it's not what it seems, people can just record just the last or like 40-second clips from the last 5 minutes or whatever, suddenly the journalists are all like, oh, see, it's totally fine, there's nothing to worry about here, it's all good, it's all good. It's like that still doesn't really make it that much better. It's still a problem. It's still a problem because if people report other players and stuff for even just like the smallest thing that they find offensive, it could put them in jeopardy as far as their account and everything. And I don't know. That's really just messed up in my opinion. So
it is messed up. Speaking of big corporations, by the way.
Yeah.
I don't know if you heard this or not, Disney released kind of a statement at their most recent like conference call with their stock, holders and stuff, shareholders.
Yeah.
Apparently, going forward, their primary focus is going to be on streaming.
Streaming.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. I mean, I guess it kind of makes sense because you can throw out a lot more content on like somewhere like Disney Plus than, putting out movies on in theaters and stuff. Yeah. So I guess if they're talking about that from like a quantitative standpoint, then it makes sense to me because they can just, they can basically just Netflix, Disney Plus and stuff, just put out just crap tons of content. Yeah. So I guess that makes sense to me. I just don't know if their content's going to be that good. That's the only thing that I'm kind of worried about. There really hasn't been anything that they put out on Disney Plus yet that's like even just like some sort of exclusive whatever that I've been like, oh, that's something I'm like super excited about watching or whatever. Yeah. They haven't done any of that yet. I don't even know why I have Disney Plus right now because we don't use it at all. We don't watch anything on it. I mean, I'm sure that like, well, I guess that kind of depends because everything is kind of in a very iffy situation right now with the theaters and everything else.
Absolutely.
I mean, if theaters continue to just fall apart and die out and stuff, it's possible that we might just see streaming stuff on all of the different platforms, and that's about it. So, which would be sad.
Basis. Yeah,
really sad.
Absolutely. I would hate to lose the theater experience, but yeah, I think Disney's now. I think with them having to push back all of their movies and watching all of their movies solely like did fall off the radar, and then like spend all this money on Mulan for a theatrical release and then have to like release it on streaming. I can't see Disney like deciding to go, let's put out great quality content on Disney Plus. I can see them going, let's put out decent quality stuff and just throw a ton of it on like exclusively on Disney Plus and say, hey, look, you can only watch this on Disney Plus. So, yeah.
Exactly.
I mean, it's weird because like I'm looking at things like Apple TV Plus and HBO Max and Netflix has been doing it for years and Amazon, and they all have these like exclusive TV shows and they all have these like different IPs they've been working with, and Netflix is constantly trying to reinvent the wheel and trying to do new things and occasionally catering to pedophiles because they're trying to make movies sell and all the different stuff that you got to do. And Disney's like, we have the Mandalorian,
right,
and we did a show with Jeff Goldblum, which was kind of fun, but like that's what we got. And I'm like, and every time anybody's like, hey, where's the new show for like, I don't know, where's WandaVision or where's the Winter Soldier, Captain Falcon and the Winter Soldier, and they're like, oh,
right.
And I know that like I know right now with everything has been thrown off and people have been out of sorts, but Disney waited a long time to get started on this. And they had already released their streaming platform. They wanted to get it going so fast and get it started so quickly. And now they're like, well, we have the least content of everybody as far as anything new or anything of like value that doesn't cater to nostalgia. And I don't know. I think it's a reactive move to be like, oh, we're focusing on streaming now, guys. Isn't that cool? We're like totally ahead of the game. And Netflix and Amazon and all of those are like, dude, we've been on that for a while now.
Yeah.
Like,
and if you're gonna want to compete with Netflix or Amazon, you got to continue to put out original content that is going to keep people subscribed to you. And they just aren't doing that right now. I do think that they kind of rushed it out. I bet you that they rushed out Disney Plus really fast. I mean, when it first came out, it was broken and stuff in the first place. Like it was bad.
Yeah.
So I think that they probably just tried to push it out there as fast as they could because they wanted to try to compete and not realizing that, if you are going to actually want people to buy your product, then you got to continue to put out different projects on your service that are going to get people to want to pay for that and stuff. So,
oh, absolutely. Yeah, it really did feel sometimes like at times, like when it first dropped, I was like, oh, this is fun and this is new and shiny. And then after like, I don't know, the fifth time my kid watched Toy Story 3, I was like, okay, let's find something like different to do, or I mean,
Yeah.
and sometimes it feels like a lot of the newer content and stuff that they purport are like either like new documentaries that they already had from National Geographic, or that they got from 20th Century, or it's like a new like reality show with like, I don't know, people talking about like the future of like comic books and stuff, and like it's nothing substantial. I mean, like the only thing they really like have the tout right now is The Mandalorian, because season 3 drops on the 30th, but like it took about a year or so, just about under a year, to get that done. You had nothing in between that, like at all.
Exactly. That's bad.
Yeah,
that's really
bad.
Yeah.
Yeah, like Netflix has Stranger Things, and that's like one of their big flagship shows. But they have a lot of other shows that they release on there.
Tons of shows.
That fan bases.
There is something for everybody on Netflix.
Absolutely. And same on Amazon. I mean, Amazon has a more exclusive, more adult-centered thing, but like they have everything. And then even HBO Max was like, hey, we have all of this stuff right now and a ton of content, and we have shows that are actively on here that people haven't been able to see. And now they're taking all of DC's failed streaming service. So like Titans, the new season of Titans is going to be on HBO Max. Like HBO kind of was like, we already have content that you guys want, and we have a bunch of new stuff coming.
Right.
And it almost felt like they were ready for it, instead of Disney, which is like, man, we got to get on this now,
Yeah, exactly.
So
I mean, I'm really thinking about canceling Disney Plus and getting HBO Max. I don't know. There's a lot more appealing content, I think.
Yeah.
On there. So
yeah.
And I feel like they're going to be probably at this point. It seems like that HBO Max is going to be a little bit more on top of trying to put out their original content and stuff. So
yeah.
So
and Warner Brothers didn't have to release a statement saying that's what they're trying to focus on going forward, because Warner Brothers is like, if we can't release movies, then we'll release them on HBO Max. And everybody's like, that's fine. Like everybody was good with that. They didn't have to try to remind people or confirm to their shareholders, hey, by the way, we're trying to, make sure that our streaming content is good. Like, you should have already been doing that if you cared, which if you didn't, then you didn't,
Right. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
So I guess kind of keeping in the realm of Disney and Marvel and all that stuff. It sounds like we have a bit of news as far as Marvel goes. We have the Spider-Man 3 rumors and stuff, which are at this point just rumors. But one of the representatives at Sony didn't deny that there was a possibility that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield might be coming for Spider-Man 3. He didn't confirm it, but he didn't deny it either. So basically what happened was this week there was a few rumors that dropped that for Spider-Man 3, for Tom Holland's Spider-Man 3 movie, there's a possibility that Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield might show up as their versions of Spider-Man to help out Tom Holland in defeating one of the villains or something like that. I think that I believe, if I'm not mistaken, Jamie Foxx kind of confirmed that he was going to be returning as Electro.
Yeah.
Right?
Oh, yeah.
So that right there pretty much makes it possible for there to be a live-action Spider-Verse movie.
Listen, hey.
I think that's where they're going. I really do, because in the Marvel side of things, they're already kind of starting to expand on creating the multiverse and stuff. So the multiverse is going to be happening. I mean, that's literally like in the name of the next Doctor Strange movie.
Yep.
So the multiverse is going to be happening, which pretty much means that there is no reason why the Spider-Verse couldn't happen either. And if Electro is coming back, if Electro is going to be in the third Spider-Man movie or whatever else, then why couldn't Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire come back?
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
Well,
that would be awesome. Okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I would be so pumped to hear that. I think it's bankable. I mean, obviously it's a nostalgia bait thing, but still.
Yeah.
I remember that there were rumors that like Into the Spider-Verse was going to have Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield appear, and they were like, that might be too confusing, so they ended up not doing it. But like, obviously if Sony didn't do it, then Disney's going to go, man, what a missed opportunity here.
Yeah.
To be honest, I'd love to see both of them again. I think it would be great. I think it's kind of odd that like Disney's like, oh yeah, we have our own Spider-Verse too. Isn't that cool? We totally planned on that and didn't like wait until we saw whether Into the Spider-Verse was good or not.
Right. Right.
But like, yeah, I mean, and then with the rumors that Doctor Strange is going to be confirmed to be in Spider-Man 3, I have a hot take here though.
Okay.
A little bit of a hot take.
Okay.
We have yet to see a Spider-Man franchise be able to be maintained over the course of 3 movies.
Yeah.
Like we saw Spider-Man 1, the original Spider-Man with Sam Raimi, which is an amazing movie. And then we see Spider-Man 2, which is like one of the greatest comic book movies of all time. And then Spider-Man 3, which was meh. It wasn't the worst thing in the whole world that anybody's seen. But I mean, like, it wasn't great.
No.
No.
I personally am a big fan of it, but
I don't hate Spider-Man 3. I just like, there was a lot going on, and some of the things I liked were good, but then like the things that I didn't like, you could tell, like, I mean, the fact that Sam Raimi was like, yeah, I purposely made a lot of stuff bad in that movie because I didn't want to keep doing it. And and then we see like Andrew Garfield Spider-Man, and Spider-Man his first movie was all right and people liked it a lot, and then they did a sequel, and they were like, hey, by the way, we're also doing like Sinister Six, and everybody was like, maybe you should have made a good movie.
Yeah. And
then everybody was like, okay, well, we'll just I think Disney's going to take over, and then Disney does 2 pretty good Spider-Man movies. I mean, the first one I think is still better than the second one, but like Spider-Man Far From Home was decent and it was a fun movie, and it's a very much MCU thing. So then they're like, hey, we got a 3rd Spider-Man coming out, and like Electro is in it, Doctor Strange, and maybe like potentially Iron Man again.
Oh man.
And Andrew Garfield and Tobey Maguire, and they're almost like, guys, please come see this 3rd Spider-Man movie.
Yeah.
Please.
Yeah.
And so my hot take is that I feel like I could see them doing the same thing that they've almost always done. Spider-Man franchises, that they do way too much to try to like build hype for the 3rd movie, and then the 3rd movie ends up being a garbled mess, and everybody's like, well, I guess we're gonna have to reboot Spider-Man again.
Yeah. Exactly. I mean, they did that with Spider-Man 3, and then they pretty much did that with Amazing Spider-Man 2. Just they crammed like almost every villain imaginable in that movie, and it was just a complete cluster F the entire time because of that.
Yeah.
So hopefully they don't do that with the 3rd one. I hope what happens is Electro will be kind of like the main villain for the 3rd one. And, I guess I don't understand why. I mean, I guess it makes sense. They're trying to get people to come see the movie and stuff, but Doctor Strange apparently is going to be some sort of mentor figure for Spider-Man in Spider-Man 3, which doesn't make, I don't get why. Like, I thought we moved kind of past the mentor stage for Spider-Man and stuff.
Yeah.
I thought that was kind of the whole point of the ending of Spider-Man 2, I guess, that he could do it without Iron Man,
Yeah.
So I don't understand why we're going back to the mentor thing, I guess, but yeah, I don't know. I hope that I hope what they do is that they just focus on having Electro in the film. Maybe he shows up and stuff, and that'll be kind of like in the beginning, and that'll kind of like confirm, oh, there is a Spider-Verse and stuff. And what I think would be really cool is if they brought back Electro from Amazing Spider-Man, and then somehow they bring back well, I guess that would actually make sense somehow, because in what was it, Spider-Man or Spider-Man 2, I can't remember which one, J. Jonah Jameson does mention Doctor Strange at one point. And so that would be kind of, I guess, the way to confirm that Tobey Maguire's Spider-Man universe is real and stuff too. So So I don't know. It's going to be really interesting to see how they pull it off. I do agree with you. I hope that they don't just try to shove in every single character imaginable in the film. So, but yeah,
Yeah. I mean, it remains to be seen. I mean, I think Disney is like scrambling right now with phase 4, trying to figure out what's going to work and what's not. And
yeah,
I don't,
yeah,
it feels like they don't have a plan, and it feels like they didn't have a plan. And
yeah,
it felt like as soon as Endgame was done, everybody kind of like let out a collective sigh of like, oh, we did it. And
yeah.
then was like, okay, so what's next? And everybody, they were like, well, I mean, we got stuff. We got Disney Plus shows that are definitely showing up sometime.
Yeah.
Yeah, at some point. I mean, we'll get to those, I'm sure, eventually, some point down the road. And
Mhm.
like, yeah, and then like the only like for sure thing they did have was, I feel like the things that they actually did have for sure was like Spider-Man 3, because they knew that they were going to do that.
Yep.
Then they had Doctor Strange 2, which everybody had been waiting. I mean, we've been waiting a long time for that.
Yeah.
And then unfortunately now going to be a very different landscape for Black Panther, which made a ton of money and everybody was kind of excited for a sequel too. And now, you know, unfortunately with the passing of Chadwick Boseman, like kind of is up in the air now too, as what they're going to do with that. So
Yeah, that's true.
I mean, every I feel like every movie franchise has like ups and downs and you have to adjust and stuff like that, but it feels like there was a plan set for the first 3 phases of Marvel, and then like they didn't plan anything out after that. And so now they're kind of like, all right, we're just going to take a break and we'll figure out what sells the best.
Mm-hmm.
You know, instead of going, hey, this is what I think you guys are going to like.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. What do you think?
Exactly. Yeah. And I mean, I have heard like from different people that apparently, know Kevin Feige and stuff, that he had a plan for like what was going to be happening after phase 3. But I wonder if there's something that changed in the midst of that, like if he changed direction somehow or something, and now everything's kind of like thrown up in the air because of new changes that I don't know if it was like because they're kind of trying to go more like the woke pro feminist type direction and stuff or something like that, if that kind of like threw things up in the air a little bit more or what. But it definitely feels like now that there isn't like a vision like there was before, like they don't really have a clear cut vision of what they want to do yet. Yeah. So I know that the multiverse is kind of like where they're going right now. So maybe that'll be kind of somehow the direction that we go in, but I don't know.
Yeah.
There just isn't.
We haven't been given anything clear.
No. And of the movies that they announced so far, there aren't really any that I'm super excited about. Besides, like, I am pretty excited for Doctor Strange 2. Yeah. But of the other ones, I just don't have anything yet that's like selling me on this new direction that they're going on. So
no, and that's kind of how I feel too. Like, I mean, the slate, like Black Widow, I'm excited for Black Widow, but it's a movie that should have happened in phase 2 or phase 3. And then we also have Spider-Man 3, which, like we said, like kind of up in the air. Like, it could be good. I hope it's good, because I enjoy Tom Holland's Spider-Man. But then like Doctor Strange 2 feels like the flagship, like the new thing that everybody likes. But then we also have like the Eternals, which I know nothing about, and like, I'm like, where are you going to go? Because if you try to do Guardians of the Galaxy, everybody's going to see it coming. And if you try to do like this big epic thing, like, cool, but is it going to actually land?
Yeah.
Because as of right now, it hasn't felt like there's been anything that's been given to anybody that's like, oh, this is exciting. It's been like, look at these actors we cast, not this story is going to be great, or wait till you see how it ties into everything. And then on the other side of things too, you have Shang-Chi, which is supposed to come out like next year. And we've heard nothing about it.
Nothing.
Like, nothing. And I'm like, listen, I want to be excited. Like, I would love to see an awesome, like, kick-ass Kung Fu Fest movie, like, with a guy that knows all the martial arts. But you also had Iron Fist, which you let get canceled on Netflix. And you could have just brought into the MCU. But instead you're like, no, we're going to do Shang-Chi. And we're certainly not going to do that because we're working really hard to cater to the Chinese government,
Yeah.
Chinese audiences, instead of
Right.
making good movies that people like,
Mhm.
or like,
Yeah.
making Mulan in China and nobody in China wanting to watch your movie.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
So yeah, there's a lot of that. Like, yeah, it feels like, oh yeah, we have all these movies and we know what we want to do with them, but like we don't know how they're going to fit into everything. So like, we'll just throw it at the fan and hope it sticks to something.
Yeah.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, I don't know. Like, and I want to be excited about things like Thor 4 and stuff as well, but nothing that they've said so far has made me excited about it. So
yeah, well, their excitement was like, oh, we're going to reference these comic books that were in the beginning, like when they announced like Thor was now a woman, and everybody was like, okay, so what does that mean? And they're like, oh, you'll see. And everybody's like, is it Jane Foster? And they're like, oh, you'll see. You guys won't be expecting this.
Yeah.
Like, it's Jane Foster, isn't it? And they're like, shut up and just watch what happens.
Yeah.
So like it feels like the news we got, it sounds very like confused and like there isn't a clear direction of what they're doing. And I enjoyed Ragnarok. I thought it was fun and everything, but it for them to be like, oh yeah, well, don't worry, we're going to do the same thing for this new moon that we did for Ragnarok. I'm like, well, the fun thing about Ragnarok was that it was a complete departure from Thor 2, which is just hot trash, and then Thor 1, which is like this kind of Shakespearean epic. You know, like every Thor has felt different, and then for you to go like, well, we're just going to keep on keeping on with the thing that we did last time. So isn't that fun? And you're like, I guess, I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
And I think that's one of the things that's kind of giving me red flags about where they're going right now with Marvel, is that they're only like plucking storylines and concepts from like comics that have been coming out in the past like 10 years. And none of those comics are like classic comics that have done very well with audiences and stuff,
No.
So a lot of these comics are kind of hated by a lot of fans, actually.
Yeah.
So I don't know, like that's kind of a red flag to me, I guess. So
yeah,
but
I guess we'll see.
We'll see what happens with the future, I guess, for Marvel. But there's other crappy Marvel news that we're going to talk about.
Yeah.
So I'll let you talk about this because I'm not as familiar with this story as you are. So
I was reading and kind of looking around because they released a Marvel Avengers game, and everyone in the world let out a collective meh as they played it. And I've been told it's the most okay game in the whole world. And I really was excited at first, and then I was like less excited as I read more about it. And then the game came out and I was like, maybe I should get it, maybe I shouldn't. And I never heard anything that made me want to buy it. Well, apparently now, specifically on PC, it's been happening on PlayStation, the player base for the game is so low that people are like having trouble matchmaking on it. And the game is designed around multiplayer. It's an always online game that's supposed to be like been, compared to Destiny and Anthem, which is not a good comparison, and different games like that. But now it seems like they're going the way of Anthem with this game that is a grind fest, isn't very fun, is okay, has super popular characters that nobody seems to enjoy playing, and now has such a low player base that people on PC can't even like find other players to play with. And yeah, I don't know. It's just also telling of the handling, it feels like, of these IPs now, like, because the thing is, like, Disney definitely has a say in all of that. Just like Disney has a say in Star Wars, and like the only two good Star Wars games we've actually gotten has been Rogue Squadron, which like feels like DLC, and then the other one, the Lost Jedi or whatever, I don't even remember the name of it now. Fallen Jedi?
What was that? Jedi, something Jedi Fallen Order. I don't remember.
Yeah, that one. But yeah, I mean, so like that tells you, like, I don't know, it sometimes feels like video games, things like that. Star Wars Jedi Fallen Order. Video games and like some of the like the expanded worlds of these like IPs have been kind of like an afterthought for Disney, and you say like, well, streaming is our focus nowadays, but like, why not make a good Avengers game? Like, it's not hard. Like, that's not difficult to do. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, these characters are some of the popular characters in the world right now, and you just came off of like phase 3, which is like a super hot thing that you could have like capitalized on. Instead, you release an always online game that is a total grind fest that isn't very fun, and now like doesn't have any new content coming out for it anytime soon. And then like anytime anybody goes, we just want new content, they're like, well, we have all these new characters coming, and they're like, okay, what about new levels and new stuff like that? They're like, at a undetermined date something will happen.
Yeah, right.
And that's the same thing that happened with Anthem. Like, everybody was like, oh, this game looks like really fun, but it's got some issues and there's no in-game content. And they're like, you'll get your content when and they're like, what did you say? And they're like, no, listen, it's coming, it's on its way. And Anthem is like, nothing has happened, nobody's heard anything. Eventually they just stopped updating it, and I feel like
it fell apart. So yeah, it was bad.
And it feels like the same thing's happening with Marvel Avengers already, and I'm like, I don't know, if you can't capitalize on the Avengers, like, you're doing something wrong.
That's not good. That is not good.
Yeah,
I don't know, like, I think it just goes to show that you can have name recognition, you can have all that stuff, and brand identity, whatever. But at the end of the day, if you still aren't putting out a good product, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't really matter. You can, you can have, and this happens in a lot of big budget movies too. You have like some of the biggest names in Hollywood acting in your movies, and they just don't do good because you're still putting out a crap movie that nobody really cares about.
Yeah.
And I feel like that's kind of like what is happening right now with some of the stuff that Disney's doing, and not just Disney, but it kind of feels like Disney's kind of the one that's leading the way right now as far as putting out mediocre content. It's kind of already showing in some of their stocks and all that stuff. They're going down. And I think it's just because nobody's really giving that much of a crap about what Disney's putting out right now, because while they're putting out a lot of content, none of it is really good content.
Yeah.
So
quantity over quality.
Yeah.
Well, and I recently heard somebody break it down like this, and I thought that they were absolutely right about it. There's we're in an unprecedented time in the world, and everybody's been thrown off, and there's a lot of craziness, and everybody gets that. But like, yeah, we've seen fans like go to bat for their like perspective, like franchises and their things. We've seen fans pour out support for these companies that have taken care of them and wanted to help out and do good things and stuff. But like, the fact is, like, Mulan failed of its own merit, because the thing is, you released it at home on a streaming service, and movies like Trolls World Tour made money releasing at home on a streaming service.
Yeah.
They weren't even on Netflix or Amazon. They just released online to be like watched. And some of these movies have like risen and fallen by their own merits.
Yeah.
And like right now you have like unprecedented access to like the American audience. And if you're not making money, like, people are sitting at home doing nothing. And if you're not making money in your movies, like, you can't blame the fans and say, you know what, it's your fault that we're not doing well, because you know, or say, well, if we had theaters, we could do well. It's like, but people are at home. Like,
exactly. Yeah.
My kids watched Trolls World Tour like twice when it was released, like, because I was like, dude, they like this movie. It's fun. I'm not saying it's a great movie, but you know, even Scoob did pretty decently.
Yeah,
you know?
Exactly.
And so I don't know. For me, I'm like, you know, Disney, to say, well, you know, this movie failed because we couldn't release it in theaters. Well, you shouldn't rely on theaters to be the thing that makes you money. If something happens to theaters, like, you should be able to say, hey, you know what? We're doing well because we're releasing good content that people like. And if we release it at home, release it in theaters, it's going to make money.
Yep.
You know?
Yep.
Yeah.
Trolls World Tour proves that was possible.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that is, especially for family films, I think that is highly possible to do very well on digital and stuff, because at the end of the day, if you have a family of more than, you know, 2 people and stuff, and you're paying $20 to watch a movie at home, you're still getting a better deal out of it as the viewer than if you go see it at the theater. So
100%. Yep.
So yeah. And the fact that Mulan failed as badly as it did just goes to show that Disney is just in the business of putting out mediocre remakes of their cartoon classics and stuff, and they're just not doing that well. So
yeah, absolutely.
Which at the end of the day kind of makes me a little bit suspicious about some of the numbers for some of the movies like Lion King and some of those other movies, Captain Marvel 2, and some of those movies that they say, oh, did so great. All of our movies last year made over $1 billion. And it makes you go, really? Really?
Because when you really leave it to audiences, all of a sudden nobody wants to see your movies.
Yep. Yeah. Exactly.
Yeah. And the things that people are clamoring for, are things like The Mandalorian, which I know you haven't seen it yet, but still, it's like a decent quality thing, and people are clamoring for it. It's not just because Baby Yoda's so cute. It's because the show's decent and it's decently written, and people wanted to watch it. And it's funny to me because we can sit here and look at movies and shows that have come out that have done well and that are exciting and that are popular. So many people watched The Boys season 2. Yeah. So many people were excited for that. I mean, everybody it's an event when the new Stranger Things season drops, every time. So obviously people want to watch this stuff.
Exactly. Yeah.
If Netflix wasn't making any money, they'd stop buying movies and releasing movies on their streaming service. Same with Amazon and stuff. So there's definitely an audience for it, and people are sitting at home wanting content to do, but wanting content to watch, but if you're not offering anything of quality, nobody's going to come watch it, and you can't get mad at fans for not coming and watch your stuff if you're not reaching your audience.
Exactly. I mean, you could use that same logic for any sort of situation where you are trying to sell a product to a customer. Yeah. If you're a burger shop and you're making really crappy burgers that, have mold and are using meat that's, a month old or something, and people aren't coming to buy your burgers, you can't get mad at people for not coming to buy your burgers. You got to realize, hey, we put out crappy burgers. Maybe we should try to put out higher quality burgers so that people will actually come eat our food. And it's the same logic that's applied to the entertainment industry, but for some reason, these people in the entertainment industry feel like they're almost entitled to people watching their content. It's that's not how this works. You realize that you need us to support you in order for you to continue to be able to sustain yourself as a business. Yeah. And if you're going to put out crappy content, we're going to stop watching your crappy content. Yeah. So there's this weird entitlement with the elites in Hollywood where they think we owe them our our money or our views or whatever else, and that's not how this works. So
nope.
And there's a little bit of that in the video game industry too. There's a lot of video game developers and stuff that will get pissy at the fans when they aren't supporting their products or when they come back at them with criticisms about some of their products and stuff. And we've seen this happen with even games like Apex Legends and stuff, and some of those other types of games where the gamers will basically criticize them about something about their game or not buy something in their game or something they act, why aren't you supporting our game? And it's well, if you aren't putting out a game that people are willing to spend $60 on, then maybe you should try to figure out how you can make a better game to get people to support your product. So
yeah. Well, there's evidence of things like No Man's Sky comes out and nobody likes it and everything like that, and then they worked super hard and fixed their game and made it better, and now they have a bigger player base than they ever had. Yeah, and exactly. That shows that it speaks to the longevity of video games, but it also shows fans are willing to forgive you if you're willing to do something that actually of any quality and of any conviction, to be hey, listen, maybe we did screw up, or we did drop the ball, but we want to do right by you guys. Shoot, Sonic made a ton of money at the theater and made a ton of money on demand and on video on demand because people were hey, you know what? They actually gave a crap and they actually wanted to listen and help us out. And they actually wanted the fans to be happy, not, hey, well, we made this, and if you don't like it and don't come see it, then it's your fault that it failed, not, it couldn't be my fault. It couldn't be that I made a bad movie or I made bad content. It's definitely your fault for not going to see it. I mean, it's no different than us running a podcast. Like, if nobody comes and listens to the podcast because all we do is fart into the microphones, you can't go like, well, you jerks just don't listen. I'm farting for you. Why won't you listen to me fart? Like, I mean, like, the fact is, if people aren't listening, then that's on us or on the creators. And it's fine to be like, you know what, it didn't work, or I have a small fan base or whatever. But like, you want to do but right. We want people to listen to our stuff, and we want people to enjoy what we're talking about. And if they don't, and if we get feedback, they're like, hey, I'd really like you to stop farting in your microphone, and we go like, well, that's obviously you don't know what you're talking about, then like they can stop listening, and then we can't get mad at them for that. So so
exactly.
Disney, stop farting in the microphone.
Right. It's true. And I hope that kind of will I mean, we are living in a different age right now when it comes to entertainment and stuff, where there was a time with Hollywood and stuff where you could put out any movie and it would do fairly well and stuff, and people would just go watch it because it was the newest movie at the theater. But we live in such an age where there's so much content out there right now, where consumers have the choice to pretty much watch whatever they want. And consumers are, if they have that choice, they're going to watch content that is most likely better content than a lot of the other crappy content out there. So hopefully people in some of these industries that have been around for a long time, like the entertainment industry and the video game industry and all that stuff, hopefully they'll realize, hey, if we actually want to compete in this new age and this new field of where there's just an overload of content, we got to put out good content in order to compete for those views and stuff. So
absolutely.
And if that happens, if they actually wake up to realize that, that'll be actually a good thing for the consumers. That'll be awesome. So
like, you'll get my money if you do something good. Like, that's just how it is. Like, if you make good stuff that I like, I'll spend money on it, So absolutely.
So I don't really have anything else that I want to bring up for this week. What do you have anything else that you want to? No, I mean, there's like the new Dexter season that's coming out, but I've never watched Dexter, so
never watched it.
I don't really care. To be honest.
I'm happy for everybody that's excited for Dexter. I mean, it's always cool to see an old show get rebooted. I'm sure if they want to do a new season of Sopranos, everybody would collectively poop their pants and go watch it. And that's, once again, if your audience wants it, awesome, give it to them. But I think that's been a new thing. Just as an aside, because I said I didn't have anything to say, but I lied. Like, just the fact that like we're seeing old shows being like rebooted, or we're seeing maybe not even a reboot, but like a return to old shows and stuff. It's nostalgia farming and stuff like that. But some of these shows that have come back have been good, and people have liked them. And so that even speaks to like, hey, you know what? Maybe there is an audience for shows that weren't, that got canceled or ended at a certain time. I mean, and then have come back. The one of the earlier examples of a show like that was when they did the Serenity movie for Firefly. They capped off the season, and maybe we look down the road, and maybe in 5 to 6 years, or maybe 5 to 10 years, we see Game of Thrones like do season 9, and they go, sorry we effed it all up. It was all a dream. Let's start the way everybody wanted, or something. I mean, so I think coming back to shows like that, I think there's almost a new market for that, especially with people going, hey, it would be nice right now to feel some comfort and feel some like something familiar, and not feel like I'm going to be judged for liking something new or liking something different. So
right.
That's my soapbox. I'll
boom. Well done. Good job. That was a very worthy soapbox. So, I think with that being said, that's probably going to wrap up the episode for this week. Once again, rip Ben for being on death's door with the the COVID and all that stuff, the whatever you want to call it. He's actually he'll be fine. He'll be fine.
I think so. I hope so. If not,
we're just giving him a hard time. So
if not, I got to resurrect him.
Yeah. Well, we'll do whatever we can. So
gotta get his pretty face back on the camera, man. We got to get him. Got to hear his beautiful voice singing over the microphone.
Exactly. Yeah. So with that being said, is there anything that you want to say for final words, Mike?
No, I appreciate everybody listening. New episodes coming next week. Please check them out. We want to do more stuff for you guys and keep you guys happy listening to us rant about stuff for hours.
Yeah, exactly. So with that being said, thank you so much, everyone, and we will talk to you all next week.